Hey guys, today we're going to talk about what you should have for breakfast. Okay, so I got a question on Facebook from my buddy Nick Robertson in the UK. What's happening, Nick? And Nick asked plain and simple, Chris, what should I have for breakfast? So the question that I have for you is, do you really need breakfast? Is breakfast the most important meal of the day? And I guess that all depends. If you are a teenager or in your 20s and you want to get jacked, even if you're in your 30s, I guess, kind of, if you want to get jacked, then breakfast is probably something you got to be pounding the calories. Breakfast is something that you can have on a regular basis. If you are like this guy, come here. Oh, your head okay? Fine. If you're like this guy, then I'm going to make sure that he's going to have breakfast because he's a growing boy, right? And what do we have for breakfast?
Butter and salt. Butter
and salt. No, we don't need butter and salt. We'll talk about that some other time. But yeah, what do we have? Muscle food? We got muscle food, right? All right. So he's got to have breakfast because he's growing. But if you are busy, if you are 30 years old or older, and you had a good dinner the night before, do you really, really need breakfast? Are you even hungry in the morning? That's the question I want to ask you. Me, myself, personally, I have a cup of coffee with 2 tablespoons of full-fat cream. That's about it. And then I don't eat again until later in the day, probably after my training. If I'm training in the morning, then I'll eat around 11 o'clock. If I'm training in the afternoon, then I won't eat until about 3 o'clock. So that's the question that you have to ask yourself. Are you hungry in the morning? Now, if you are hungry in the morning and you do feel like you need breakfast, and I'm not saying you do need breakfast or you don't, then here are my recommendations. Number 1, make sure that you have something that is low absorbing into your bloodstream. So the number 1 thing to have would be protein. So you see everybody that works in offices or, you know, they're on the go and everything. And a lot of times, I remember this used to happen when I had a corporate job. People used to grab bagel and cream cheese and a cup of coffee, which is like the last thing that you want to do. You want to make sure that you've got something slow absorbing, something that will keep you alert. Protein is the best way to go because that will provide you time release energy throughout the day. The second thing that you want to have is some type of low glycemic carbohydrate. And by low glycemic, I mean, again, it'll get absorbed into your bloodstream at a slower rate. So what am I talking about here? I'm talking about vegetables. Eat vegetables for breakfast? Yeah, definitely. Eat vegetables for breakfast. I'm not even talking about whole wheat toast or any type of bread or anything like that. You want to make sure that you've got low glycemic carbohydrates. Stay away from the processed food. Stay away from the bagel. Stay away from the sugar. Another thing that you can have, and I don't recommend that you eat too much of it, is some type of fruit. So I remember, again, when I was personal training on a daily basis, I had a client who was so proud that he had a fruit smoothie in the morning. He would put blueberries in, he put bananas in, he put strawberries, he put pineapple, he put papaya, he put all this kind of fruit. And then he would blend it up with some soy protein in some milk. And then he would wonder why he was so sluggish throughout the day and unproductive in his meetings. And he needed to be alert because he was a CEO. So he wanted to make sure that, you know, he was the dominant figure in the boardroom and everything, but he was all sluggish and he didn't have good energy. Well, part of the reason why that was is because he's taking all this fruit and he's blending it up to make it even more fast absorbing, and fruit is sugar, essentially. And so he was getting an insulin spike and then he was crashing. That's probably why he was so low energy in the morning. So when we decided to cut out that shake and I made him have some bacon and eggs in the morning with a little bit of tomato on the side and just an orange, not even orange juice, but an orange, he started feeling a lot better. He started becoming more productive, and he saved his fruit smoothie for a little bit later in the day, and he tried not to have so much fruit in it because you've got the fruit, it's already high sugar. Now, I'm not saying by any means don't eat fruit. What I am saying though is limit the amount of fruit that you eat to maybe 1 or 2 servings a day, especially if you're trying to lose fat. And don't blend it up as much, because now you're taking something that's high sugar. You're going to spike your insulin by making it even easier digesting than it would be if it was in its whole form, and you will get that insulin spike and then get that sugar crash afterwards. So if you want to have something for breakfast, if you absolutely must with your morning coffee, make sure you get some protein in there, have some low glycemic carbohydrates, and there is a third element to that: healthy fats. So my suggestion is to find a good quality fish oil, get your omega-3s in, and take some fish oil with your meal. And that'll be with your cup of coffee, a big glass of water. Have maybe an orange, a whole orange on the side if you want. But we want to make sure that we get our protein, we want our low glycemic carbohydrates, some form of vegetable if you can get it. So a vegetable omelet would be great. And then your healthy fats. So if you have any more questions, hit me up on my Facebook page over at facebook.com/kettlebell workout programs. Ask a question down below. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next video.